afternoon, everyone. My name is Renaud Daniels, Vice President of Multimedia and Event Sponsorship Sales at Black Enterprise. I hope you enjoyed the first day of the Entrepreneur Summit. I can assure you, you will find day 2 to be equally as enlightening. Our 26th Entrepreneur Summit is such an important conference to Black Enterprise and our team who have worked tirelessly to make it happen for you, our audience of over 2,000 attendees. But I must say, this achievement is not done in a vacuum or without the support of our sponsors, who are equally as responsible for its success. With that, I would like to take a few moments to thank our sponsors that truly made this summit come together in the way it has. Beginning with our title sponsor, Nationwide. Nationwide hosted Turning Social Currency into Capital with media maven and entrepreneur Karen Civil. Nationwide also hosted Protecting Businesses and Families with Extraordinary Care, a session which provided tips to building and protecting your company with customized insurance solutions that support you and your business. Our platinum sponsors, American Airlines. American Airlines hosted Procurement Equity, Get Your Slice of the Pie. FedEx. JP Morgan Chase hosted Wednesday afternoon session Advancing Black Entrepreneurship, How Large Banks Team Up with Black Financial Firms to Drive Business Growth. MasterCard in partnership with Fifth Third Bank and Walmart. To our corporate sponsors, Comcast Rise hosted Wednesday afternoon session Black Businesses Matter, The Path to Economic Justice, and IBM. Please join me in thanking the 2021 Black Enterprise Entrepreneurs Summit sponsors. Now, without further ado, let's kick off the day with our first session, A Lasting Legacy, The Making of a Haircare Business Dynasty, moderated by Derek Dingle, Executive Vice President and Chief Content Officer at Black Enterprise.
Thank you, Renaud. We're glad that you can join us for day 2 of our Entrepreneur Summit. I'm Derek T. Dingle, Executive Vice President and Chief Content Officer of Black Enterprise. One of the staples of our entrepreneurial coverage for more than 50 years has been our focus on family-owned businesses. In fact, Black Enterprise represents one such company. That's why I'm so excited to moderate today's session, All in the Family, Building a Black American Hair Care Business Dynasty. I gained the privilege and opportunity to explore the success and longevity of a Black institution, Luster Products, Inc., a company that was launched in 1957 by Fred Luster Sr., a barber from the South Side of Chicago who sold homemade grooming products from his shop and laid the foundation for the growth of one of the nation's largest manufacturers of personal care products for Black Americans today. In fact, Luster Products is a rare company that has spanned 3 generations, an event experienced by roughly 10% of all family businesses. Here to discuss the phenomenal success and legacy of this global multi-million-dollar enterprise is father and daughter, Luster Products President Jory Luster and Senior Brand Manager Theresa Luster. Jory and Theresa, thank you for joining us for the Black Enterprise Summit. I'm really excited about this interview that we're going to have today.
Thank you. We're honored to be a part.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, Luster's Pink is a household name. It's been in so many homes of Black families. It's a staple. But Jory, I want you to share the beginning. How did this start? I know that your father was a steel worker. It went on, the steel workers went on strike. Then he decided to shift to become a barber as a way of generating an income. And that's where he found his niche. But from there, he started the foundation for this amazing hair care empire. So please share with us the start in 57 and the evolution and how we got to where we are today.
Okay, if I go back to 57, it's purely hearsay because I didn't bear witness to a lot back then. But Dad was a barber first and foremost. That's where he found his niche, as you say, and his true love. I mean, he was a barber personified. He developed that business. He had celebrity clients. But what a funny thing happened as I guess they call it the process hairstyle. Some people know it as conch, which is different, but men with the straight hair. When that came in the style, products were in short supply, and some of the quality was less than where it should have been. So those two things inspired him to develop his own product. He was able to, collaborate with some of the chemical manufacturers, and he had shelf formulas that he customized, and the rest is history. But when you talk about Dad, I mean, it's true Horatio Alger kind of stuff. It really is. But the thing that kept him rolling and allowed him to develop, because there were some dark times in the beginning, like there are with any fledgling business, his values were just superb. He believed in people. He believed in giving back. He respected people. He believed in making sure that everybody that was involved with his products, if he had any knowledge of it, that they had a tremendous experience. And so when you put those things together, it really makes the perfect formula to develop a business. The other things he learned, those things, sometimes they have to be intuitive and instinctive, for you to really have them, because we've known people that are really blessed with all kinds of great aptitudes, but they don't understand the people part, and they don't understand the giving back part. They don't understand humanitarian part. And so that becomes a downfall at some point, in their endeavor for some. But again, I can go through all the products and their development and launch and how they grew, but really it was his value system that really allowed the company to move forward.
So what led you to join the family business? Because we all know that just because you have a family-owned business doesn't necessarily mean that you gravitate to that company. What was it that drew you into the business and wanted you to make that your career?
A couple of things. First and foremost, as a young person, I worked in the business, and I did whatever a shorty could do, from labeling jars to filling boxes to loading trucks. And I grew up with that from the age of 9 all the way through college. So I knew the business, but it was intriguing to see if we can make a go of it. When I got to be, I don't know if I was a senior in college or a junior, had to be a senior. Dad asked me, he said, would you like to join me? If you would, I'd love to have you. And so I said, wow, this is pretty cool. But just to make sure I had my own value, I went out and I did a few interviews and got hired by 3 companies. And so I had offers, should I say. And so then I knew I'm not doing this because this is the only thing I could do. And that helped me feel a little bit of self-worth in the endeavor. And from there, I went to work. The other thing that happened for me that was really cool is that he didn't micromanage me when I came in. He let me explore my ideas. He let me develop and work toward my vision, no matter how limited it may be. He wanted me to have those experiences. And then when I got ready to walk into a wall, he was there to stop. So it was really a pleasurable experience, and we became a pretty good team. So,
okay. Well, Jory, I'm going to go through a bit of your history as president, but I do want to bring Theresa into the conversation and ask her the similar question. Theresa, third generation, which is really unheard of with many family businesses. The figures are is that roughly 10% of family businesses make it to the third generation.
Right.
What made you decide to join your family business, given that you've seen all of the the challenges as well as the successes? But what was the driving point for you?
Well, I've always loved, well, not always, but when I transitioned out of being a tomboy, I really fell in love with beauty and fashion. But one of the things that I think was great of my parents to do growing up, when I say my parents, I mean my dad, my mom, my aunt, my uncle, is that they never forced the five of us to go into the business. Their biggest thing was go to school for what you're passionate about and what you're happy about. And when you do that to your kids and you give them that like free range to pursue whatever it is they want to do, that's always best. I have a lot of people asking, like, how did you get into the business? What did they say to you to make you do it? That was never the case. I love beauty and fashion. I went to school for marketing communications, and my dad offered me an internship my senior year of college, and I never left. But throughout my childhood, for summer jobs, like when we hit high school, we did take on, internships here as high schoolers, my siblings and my cousins. So we were exposed to it, as like something to do. We weren't like making any big decisions, but we're exposed to the business. But still, even with that, they were, what do you guys want to do when you grow up? We came up with all types of things, but beauty and fashion were a passion of mine. I worked in retail as well in college.
So both of you, I'll start with you, Jory, and then I'll go to Theresa. What are the challenges and the benefits of working in a family business? How do you segregate the familial challenges with the business challenges?
Ooh-wee. The social dynamic in a family business is really, really tough to manage, and you've got to keep your eyes open and your finger on the pulse at all times. You can't, sometimes that familiarity can build some contempt, right? And you can't, you're hard pressed not to let the relationship get in the way of the responsibilities and output requirements, to put it mildly. And so that's probably the biggest part. Other than that, family is great to have around, because when you get away from the dynamic, you have someone there 9 times out of 10 that has your back, that has the company's best interest at heart. So that part is good, but managing, again, between those lines, the social family dynamic or family social dynamic and the business requirements, which requires timeliness and completeness and all of those kinds of things that allow you to move forward. And if you don't do them bit by bit, you will move backwards. And so managing that is incredible.
Well, Theresa, I'll give you a little nuance to that question. How do you deal with the generational dynamic in terms of dealing with in a family business?
Old people don't know nothing.
That's not true. That is not true. That is very much so. Okay, that was true at one point. My siblings and I and my cousins, we knew it all. They didn't know what they were doing. We were seeing a surge of new brands come along, and but they're doing this and that. And my dad's like, T, you got to listen to me. This is not how you want to do it. And we saw brands come in the industry, literally stay for 5-7 years and sell off. And it's like, oh, we don't want to do it that way. We don't want to just scale up our inventory and come out with collections on a monthly basis. Like, our goal is not to sell off. You know what I'm saying? We're here to stay for the long haul. At first, Dad would want to pull my hair out in meetings. He would have to corner me after me, like, look, I need you to kind of bring it down. But it was a level of passion there. And everyone, his siblings, my cousins, we all have a level of passion for Luster to stay and for Luster to be around. And, we're in it for the long haul, but we really want to see our communities win. We're very big on giving back to our communities, making sure that they can take advantage of different things, in this lifetime. So the generational aspect of working here is amazing. I mean, and we're just talking about family right now, but we have coworkers who've been here 30, 40 years as well, you know, who saw me grow up, who saw my dad grow up, you know, so it can be, it's fun. It's fun. Our director of sales, like he came on board when I was like 5 or 7 or so. And like, when we're in meetings now and I'm like vocalizing certain things about whatever product initiative, he's like, whoa, you know, like you were a kid who was just running around the office stealing staplers and running up the fax machine, you know, so it's a really cool opportunity to go into this business.
Yeah, and just so that our audience has context, obviously we talked, Jory, about you being our president, which you oversee the company from a global standpoint, domestic as well as international. And Theresa, you're in charge of the Pink brand, as well as you're the senior brand director for the company. So that comes with many challenges and responsibilities for the longevity of the Pink brand. And in that respect, how do you keep that brand fresh? That's been an institutional brand. How do you keep that fresh? How do you continue to connect with younger consumers so that they view it as just as valuable as the previous generation of consumers?
Now this is directed toward me, or me. Research, a lot of research. And one of the strong suits that Luster is we're great at when it comes to our SCurl brand, our Pink brand. We've launched new items as of recent. We're continuing to do it like on an annual basis. Is that when we go out into the world and we participate in events and have our own activation going on, we love to engage with the public. That is our strong suit. We love to engage with the public. We love to hear their needs. A lot of people actually do not realize we're still Black-owned, family-owned business. I will have people beat me to the nail, like, no, you guys sold off and go ask your boss. Like, this is no longer a Black-owned company. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I'm confused. We do a lot of research. We have a team of chemists who are of color that formulate every single product that we manufacture. We also manufacture every single product here. My uncle is over our R&D department, quality control, manufacturing. So we're passionate. Most importantly, I'm so sorry, we also have an in-house test salon where we test these products on thousands of heads before they leave this building. So we know that they work. We know that we have superior ingredients, and just continuing to do research. And he's very big on that. Like, you need research, and he's been really great with our marketing team and sales team and making sure that, we're very strategic in how we launch. Once again, we're not in it for the short haul. We're in it for the long term because we are passionate, not just about the business, but our coworkers as well, and making sure we all win.
Yeah, it's very clear in terms of you talking about the company. There's a Luster family, and then there's a Luster Products Inc. family as well. Jory, you shared as you were talking about your father's journey about the challenges, and then that's the challenges of being a startup, the challenges of evolving the company and preparing it for the second generation. I believe you became president in 1991 after your father had passed. But there was a particular challenge that was happening to haircare companies, Black-owned haircare companies during that time. A number of them were being acquired by general market firms, Alberta Culver, Revlon, and these were iconic companies like yours. What kept Luster from suffering the same fate of being acquired by general market companies and no longer being Black-owned?
One of the things that my dad was very, very keen on was his legacy. And one of the things that we committed to do, and that would be my brother, my sister, and myself, was to continue that legacy. He thought it was tremendously important for people within our community to see a successful business from people that are within the community. He thought it was very important to create an environment that's a great place to work. And your testament of your success, while you counted in dollars and revenues and profits, you measured in people. You measured in how many people are able to sustain because they're associated with you. And so those are the kinds of things that made us say, we've got to stay the course. We've got to stay the course. We've got to figure this out. And so that's what we've done. And that's what we will continue to do.
Well, the most amazing anecdote and the most impactful anecdote to me, in addition to just the business savvy that your father and then the generations of lusters have shown in just running the business, was the statement he said in terms of looking outside his office window and looking at the cars in the lot and saying that he was so proud that Luster was responsible for, the employees being able to purchase cars, or him getting loan approval documents on his desk, and saying that he was so proud that the Luster family and the company was responsible for people buying homes and building wealth. And it seems like that is the hallmark of the legacy going from generation to generation.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So Theresa, we talked about the whole foundation of the company and the company staying Black owned, supporting Black employees, Black communities through a period where, basically Black hair care companies were gobbled up, by general market companies. Mm-hmm. Now we're in an era where we're seeing the renaissance of Black owned hair care companies, natural hair care companies. How do you deal with that competitive challenge, being a legacy brand, staying fresh, and being just as relevant as the upstarts, if you will, that are now coming into the industry?
Mm-hmm. Well, social media, when I graduated college, that was something my dad heavily pressed. Social media, we have to build a presence. Our e-commerce, that was also something that is still heavily pressed here. And then just like I said, being strategic. We did notice with these newer brands that were coming out, they were launching lines like on a seasonal basis. And for me, being, new to the space as a marketer, I was like, okay, well, maybe this is a route we need to go. And then my dad pulled my coattail on it, like, no, you don't want to get into having that much inventory laying around. The retailers can only take so much. Your distributors can only take so much. We have to be strategic, team. We have not an end goal, but we have a goal here to be around. Other companies sometimes get into the business to sell, which is amazing, right? If that's your goal, you go into it for great goal, but that's not our goal, right? So just, knowing our purpose, what our foundation is, and just staying true to that. We don't believe in, keeping up with the Joneses. We have to do things the Luster way and what works for us. Once again, we manufacture everything, we formulate everything. So we're quite different from other brands that are on the shelves. And we take a lot of pride in that. It's a lot of work that goes into R&D. It's a lot of work that goes into testing. We could easily shut that all down and go find a company that could formulate and manufacture us and go that route. But that's not something that we choose to do. So just knowing our purpose and staying grounded to our foundation is what keeps us going.
So despite the trends, despite the era, stay true to the Luster way, stay the course, and innovate within the context of the Luster way.
Right. So, but I mean, we do research. So we know natural hair is here to stay. We know women with curly, coily hair. Like, we know that it's not one size fits all when it comes to hair today. We know women have coily hair, women have curly hair, women have wavy hair. This textured hair, it's here to stay. Women want to embrace their hair. No need to be ashamed of having pinky hair anymore. So we understand that we have to connect to that consumer. The days of wearing your hair straight 24/7 have gone away, right? We now know it's okay to erase your hair in whatever style you like to do. And we have products to meet that woman wherever she is at in her hair journey, for men, women, and children. So.
Okay. So for both of you, You talked about the specific challenges and trends of both of your eras, and I know it overlaps. Jory, I'm not trying to make you seem like you're divorced from from the current trends, because you're a driver and you're the one that talks about research and staying on top of it and staying competitive. But last year, Luster, as well as all of our businesses, and especially African American owned businesses, face one of the greatest crises of generations, which is obviously COVID-19 pandemic. Given that crisis and is still ongoing, how did you face it? Share with us how you face that crisis and how do you pivot in the crisis? Because I think not only is it instructional to talk about COVID-19 as a challenge, but also as a case study in how to deal with crises, because crises are going to happen for every business, and there's going to be crises beyond a business's control. So how did you deal with that particular challenge, and how did your company pivot in the face of COVID-19?
Well, when we became aware of COVID-19, because it took a while, the information flow was sketchy in the beginning, and I think the scientists were really trying to figure it out on an ongoing basis. But the thing that we knew early on, once it reared its head, is that we have to step back and make sure our environment here is safe. Mm-hmm. So we did the spacing, we put up partitions. We did have a few cases. We had to let people sit out for a while. Anybody that was associated with them from the work environment standpoint had to sit out for a while. We knew hand sanitizer was hard to get. We had the ability to manufacture it. We manufactured hand sanitizer for our team. Then we began to sell it to the world. That was a lucky stroke on our part, led by my brother. But what it did is it allowed us to be an essential business and stay open. And so as we stayed open, although some of the retail stores did close, some were open, and they did quite a brisk business during that time frame. So that helped us sustain. As far as pivoting is concerned, the biggest thing was to maintain a safe environment. And also, really, you had to do a lot of research, because COVID and the impact of COVID caused a lot of material shortages. And so we had to really juggle. We could be in a circus right now. We had to really juggle, to make sure that we maintain. And a lot of that stuff is still going on. As we read and we hear the news, labor is kind of tough. A lot of the feedstock chemicals are still impacted. Yeah. Plastics are impacted. And so I take my hat off to our purchasing agents and our HR people for keeping us staffed and keeping us with adequate materials so going best we can. Lead times on some things have stretched from, we were used to 2 weeks. That was a long lead. Now it might be 33 weeks on some materials. And so you really have to juggle during that time frame. You've got to invest in inventory when you can find it. And you don't know if that lead time is 33 to 55. You don't know how that works. It's really hairy. But I take my hat off to our whole team, actually, for doing a yeoman's job during this period, because this stuff ain't normal.
Yeah, and I imagine it's a challenging dynamic, not only from a domestic standpoint, but you have, vast international operations as well.
Absolutely, and the laws and regulations are different. They're different in the EU than they are in parts of Africa, than they are in parts of the Caribbean. And the risk level, like South America, at one point was probably the hottest COVID spot in the world. So it's been a challenge. It still is. However, we're getting to a point where we've learned to manage a bit. We've learned what risks not to take, not just us, but all of our business partners as well. And so it's getting a little easier to navigate. You still have to be conscious and careful, but it's a little easier to navigate, with the knowledge base that the scientists have given us.
So, Theresa, you also pivoted from a product standpoint, looking at, hand sanitizers So not only did the COVID-19 present a new product line, if you will, but it also created another opportunity to serve the public at large.
Yeah, and this is not something we went the retail route with. It was strictly e-commerce or calls coming through for our hand sanitizer. We offered about 6 different sizes initially, and we had a lot of businesses reach out. We had a lot of consumers just reach out just for their personal usage. My sister and I would create TikToks, Reels for Instagram, promoting the various sizes that we're offering. I didn't take out an ad or anything, but I mean, it was different for us, but it was a need that we couldn't find hand sanitizer ourselves, right? You know, I remember getting the alcohol component of the hand sanitizer. That was crazy, the amount they wanted. My uncle and dad were talking about it, and then we eventually got it in-house. And instead of us making the decision to just, you know, go straight to market with it, my dad and uncle and aunt said, no, we have to make sure everyone in this building is good. So for them to make that kind of call on a product that is in such high demand, what does that tell you about the owners of Luster Products? You know, so I'm very proud to say that we did that for our coworkers. And it was a unique and exciting time for us.
It's, you know, I think this serves as a, you know, as I said, a case study for all companies, but also for family businesses. And I think this is foundational in terms of the management of Luster. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. You know, just looking at family members and creating that division of labor creates opportunities for each member of the family to contribute in a significant way, but also you draw upon one another's insights, experiences, you know, strengths, so that you can get through a crisis like this.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, so what's next for Luster? What is it the expansion of the product line? Are we going to see further diversification of the business? And is there something that's coming from, you know, the millennials and Gen Z that's going to impact the company, that's going into research? Share with us. We're all looking for the next leg of Luster and what's going to develop.
Let me lead that off, and then Theresa can chime in. One of the things that we're going to focus on now is pure and simple communication and building the right kind of image, the right kind of relationship, and the right kind of information flow for the consumer. That whole thing has changed so from when we came along in my heyday. And that's an area where old people don't know nothing. And I'm really happy that Theresa was aboard and her siblings, because they could point out how people are communicating now. I couldn't turn to Black Enterprise, Ebony, or Essence and find out what's going on, because it's going on in social media. When we had those companies to spring up, they sprang up. The strength of those companies was the relationship of the founder with consumers and their camaraderie, their association by kind, and their practical solutions, right? But that was all done via that communication process, which we knew nothing about. But now we're going to master that channel, because we've got the products and we've always had the products. We manufacture the best products for curly hair in the world, no doubt about it. But if you're the only one that knows, it's a big secret. It doesn't make you any money, doesn't allow you to do the things to give back to the community, and doesn't allow you to really do more things and make this a great place to work. Yeah. And that's our mission. So first and foremost, we're going to develop a relationship with the consumer. We're going to let them know who we are, that we are of color, that we are aged, that age is not decrepity, age is wisdom. And we know what they need, and we have what they need, you know, but we're going to have a two-way communication. I'm so excited about that moving forward. You know, now we're going to venture into other sectors, But the biggest thing with consumer products, again, is your rapport with that consumer and their understanding of what you have, what you do. They understand your values and your positionings and how your products will benefit them.
Theresa, just share with us your insight into that real-time communication. I know you're doing social media and you're looking at different platforms, but I imagine you also have to look around corners for what is the latest technology or the latest platform as well.
Oh, constantly. Like, and then Gen Z is different from so different from the millennials, and then Facebook is like, whoa, you're just constantly online. My sister and I were constantly online, just researching what's going on. It doesn't even have to be in the ethnic hair care space, right? Or multi-texture space. It could be something a general market company is doing. Like, we see general market companies blowing up on TikTok. It's like, okay, how could we get into that game and become top of mind to the consumer, but bring more consumer awareness around our product offerings? The other thing that is really cool that social media has done is brought to our attention how they're using some of our older products, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we found out our SCurl No Drip, the naturalistas loved it. And we were like, whoa, we've been marketing this product this way for years. Like, hey, come on now, this is how y'all want us to talk to you. So it's been really cool for us to discover new ways that people are using our products. Like, we just had an item that's been around for a long time. We were kind of like, okay, and just out of nowhere, just started picking up, and we were like, whoa. And Dad's like, what is going on with this item? I'm looking at case sales. We're not advertising it. We're not doing anything. It's not a retail. We're getting all these orders from, the distributors to put it in beauty supply stores. Research this right now. And I look up, it's like, oh my God, like the weave wearers are going nuts with it to blend their hair into their extensions. So social media has also brought a lot of things to the forefront for us. Like, the consumer is educating us, like, this is how y'all may have marketed this, but I'm using it for this. And I also have a daughter, and I've been using our Pink Kids products on her hair. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me personally, or our page is like, whoa, your child's not crying. And I saw you really going through that hair. Where did I get the products at? Because I'm fighting my child at home to get their hair done. So social media, we're constantly online researching how these people are gravitating toward fashion, beauty, auto, whatever. And it's a part of our lives here at Luster. We just did a facelift on our website to make our e-commerce much easier for the consumer. And that was a process because we wanted to make sure we got it right. So I'm very happy with the direction we're going in. Very happy.
This has been great. I'm going to have to wrap up, but one quick question, two quick questions. One is, Jory, how do you look at succession planning as you're looking at the third generation in terms of leadership of the company? And then the second question to both of you is, give us some two takeaways each from both of you for companies that are running a family-owned business and what they should look out for. So Jory?
We're in the midst of succession planning now, laying out the strategy and talking through the pros and cons. It's something we have to do because, myself and my siblings, we're not getting any younger. So, again, it's a touchy dynamic, and, we know that we want to maintain a going concern, right? That is the goal. And what's the best way to achieve that? So we're exploring now. We're talking with consultants, and I would say within the next year, we'll have it fully flushed out how that's going to go. So, but that's a tough one. That's really a tough one because again, you want to make sure that the entity continues to move forward. You don't want it to stop. You don't want to lose the values that are here. And so it's really a tough subject. This is one that hangs up a lot of small and medium-sized businesses. As I've talked to people, that is the toughest aspect and some of the toughest decisions that they ever have to make.
I just have to interject. He just said his siblings and him, they're not getting younger. That's not true. They get younger and younger. My uncle, I can't keep up with him. I can't keep up with him. This man could bike like 60 miles. Like, T, what you doing? Dad, I'm dying now. We just went on a bike ride. They're getting younger. Trust me. It's crazy how they're getting younger. Trust me.
So real quickly, 2 points each on what family-owned businesses should take away from the Luster example to keep their business thriving.
I'm going to start.
Okay, Theresa, and then we'll wrap up with you, Jory.
This is something that my dad has pushed on my siblings and my cousins, which is to play nice in the sandbox. Not to always, don't get yourself so riled up, hear one another out, and just leave it at that. There's no need for tension. You know, not everyone thinks the same way, does the same things in life, period. So you can't expect, obviously, your sibling or your cousin to do the same thing. And this is something that my dad and his siblings have mastered. But the five of us we're working on it. We're getting somewhere, though. You proud? But playing nice in the sandbox, being easy, you know, on one another. Don't be harsh on one another. And, you know, hear each other out and just realize, even though you guys may think differently, you know, you could get to a common ground.
Okay, Jory?
Oh, man. One of the things with a family business, you want to make sure that family members have their own lane to the extent that you can. Conflicts comes from people trying to do the same thing a different way. And we always know that my way is better. You know, we always know that I'm right, you know, but if you can make sure those lanes are clear for whatever function that person has, it will be less conflict. Now, you still may have some looking over the shoulder and, hey, that guy's not towing the rope as hard as I am or whatever, but at least it won't be head to head battling over one thing. So that's really important. And the other is just communication. How we're doing, what are we trying to do? How do we win? Where are we? Where are we going? You know, make sure everybody has a piece of that vision and understands what's trying to be achieved. It's easier to understand how your contribution can help when you really understand where you're going. You make sure everybody has a goal orientation. They understand what good is and what isn't good. You know, those kinds of things bring a little bit of clarity, you know, again, but I can't say enough about communication and direction and vision and keeping those lanes as clear as you can so that you don't have conflict.
Jory, Theresa, this was a great conversation. I wish we had more time. It's great to see an institution that continues to thrive and innovate. Once again, thank you for sharing the Luster way. It was both instructional and inspirational. And we look forward to the next chapter. And we want the scoop on the succession planning. I'm going to be back at you, Joe.
Absolutely, yeah. That's something to think about.
Yeah, and Theresa, we'll be back at you to learn about the next brand innovation as well. But thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's great.
All right, Derek, thanks.
Take care.